my name is Kara, and welcome to the first installation of a 3-part series of how to make all 3 of Naoki Yoshimoto's cubes, each with their own unique shapeshifting abilities. But today we'll be making cube number 1. It's a color-changing cube that can also transform. Both sides can be cubes or stellated rhombic dodecahedrons, all to be reunited into one color-changing cube. Now let's talk paper. I made mine out of Astro Bright's 24-pound colored printer paper, and I really like the quality and weight of this paper for the project. I've linked it in the description, and I think it's totally worth the investment if you're serious about template-based papercraft. They also make fantastic giant transforming ninja stars. Your typical 20-pound printer paper will work just fine. It's just a tad thinner than the paper that I'm using, so it might be a little bit flimsier. Now, I've had a few people ask me if they can print the template on construction paper. First of all, you'd have to cut it to fit your printer. It's a bit too soft to get those nice sharp edges like you can with the 24-pound or regular paper, so I don't really recommend. Now, I've linked the template in the description. There's 8 pages, 4 for each respective side. Now, the puzzle is made up of these tiny little pyramids, so we're going to need to cut these pieces out and collapse them. To make the job easier, I recommend scoring all the lines you'll be folding with a dead pen and ruler. This will create little grooves in the paper and make all the folds snap into place when you bend and fold them. Now you'll notice that there's 2 little squares on each page. Score those down the center diagonally like this. You'll need them later. Once you finish scoring, you can go ahead and cut out all the pieces, and then, rather tediously, you can start to fold along all the lines that you've scored on everything, all of your pieces. Fold all of them. I like to grab a blunt edge, like the end of my glue stick, to make sure that all those folds are extra sharp, and I don't want the ink to show on mine, so I'm going to be folding mine inside out. Now, once you finish creasing, we can start to glue all of the flaps with our glue stick. Go ahead and turn that over. We're going to start from this side here and apply your glue. And from here, we're going to maneuver over the side of the pyramid. Really make sure you're taking your time with this part, making sure to line up the edges perfectly. You might notice that there's this little piece that is coming off at the corner. Make sure you add a little bit of glue at the end to make sure it stays in place. And you can run your fingernails across to make sure it is nice and crisp. Then we're going to start on our next edge, folding that over and applying our glue just like that. Line up that edge, make sure to seal with your fingers. Make sure that little corner is glued in place. And for this next part, I like to use white glue. Now, when it comes to white glue, it's really easy to use too much, so put on the tiniest bead, and I like to move it around with a chopstick just to disperse it. You really only need a small, thin layer. Now, I like to add a little bit on the edge here too, just so that we can get a nice clean seam when we do close up the pyramid. I also like to bring this tab forward. I think it creates a cleaner seam when we do close it up. And just like that, if you take your time, you'll get nice clean edges like this on your pyramid. And next, we're going to start on our invisible hinges. So go ahead and grab yourself 2 pre-creased pyramids. We're going to take our little square from before and fold it in half. Make sure you're folding this really well. I like to fold it both ways, running over it with my glue stick. Next, we're going to start folding and gluing our pyramid like we normally would, but this time we're going to line up the diagonal of our little square here with the edge of our flap. And then you're going to go ahead and fold that back and crease very, very well. And then we're going to pretend that that triangle is any other flap and continue to glue it as normal. So just make a regular pyramid, there's just going to be a weird triangle sticking out. Next, you're going to take your other pyramid and we're going to glue that flap. And this time we're going to glue the other side of the square onto that flap. So you can join the 2 pyramids to make a hinge. We're going to fold that back, make sure it lines up. And like before, we're just going to glue it like a regular pyramid. This time I'm going to apply the glue on the top of the edge just so I don't mess up the pyramids or get glue where I don't want to. This is just for this side, but the rest is as normal and you should end up with a conjoined set of pyramids. And then you're going to go ahead and make 8 conjoined pyramids and 8 single pyramids. Next, we're going to start putting this thing together, and so here is a model where I've added tape to all of the hinges. You'll notice it's all symmetrical, what's on one side is on the other side. And next, we're going to start putting it together. So this piece is what's highlighted red, and from here we're going to add in these pieces. Notice the positioning of these guys and how they're folded in on themselves, so that's how we're going to glue it to this piece that we have already here. So grab your tiny bead of glue and spread it around with a tiny chopstick or your finger, and we're going to attach it just like that. And I like to use painter's tape to hold my pieces together as they dry. You can use another kind of tape so long as it doesn't rip the paper. I'm just using this tape so you can see it, and it also peels off really nice at the end. And then you're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Remember the orientation of the pieces, how they're folded in on themselves. And again, we're going to tape them in place so that they dry in the right position. And it should look a little something like this. Next, we're going to glue these pieces here. And these are just single pyramids. Then you can start to apply your glue. We're going to smear it across both edges this time before inserting our single pyramid and taping to make sure that it stays in place as it dries. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing to the other side, and it should look a little something like this. Next, we're going to add in these hinge pieces, and we're going to attach them like this. Then we're going to go ahead and apply our glue. Remember, less is more, and the less you use, the faster it will dry, and the faster you'll be able to play with it when it's done. So we're going to go ahead and attach that, and apply our tape so it doesn't move when it's drying. And of course, we're going to repeat that on the other side. Should look a little something like this, and we're going to add in these two pieces. These are just single pyramids, and they are going to attach like so. So turn the whole thing around, glue it in place, and do the same thing on the other side. Next, we're going to attach these pieces, and remember these are hinges that are folded in on themselves, so when you glue them down, make sure that they are in the right position. And then you're going to go ahead and repeat that on the other side. It should look a little something like this, and then we're going to add in two single pyramids, so go ahead and grab those. These are going to attach like this, so go ahead and glue those down on both sides, of course. And we're almost done, guys. We're going to add in one hinge piece here, like so. And we're going to glue across these two edges here. Take your time with this one, and you'll definitely need some tape to hold it in place. It'll look a little something like this. And then we're ready to add in our final pieces. These are just two single pyramid pieces. And I'm sure you can guess where they go. We're going to glue these guys in. Don't forget to tape them in place. And you're going to go ahead and do both sides. Now at this point, even though we look like we're done, we're not quite done because the glue hasn't dried yet. So make sure you wait until the glue dries before taking the tape off. And then you'll have a finished side of the Yoshimoto cube. This one is functional on its own, but I do recommend making the other side so you get the full puzzle. And there you have it, your very own Yoshimoto cube number 1 that can change colors and transform into a stellated rhombic dodecahedron. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you made it, go ahead and do it my last video on TikTok to show me your creation. If you haven't already, I encourage you to subscribe. I make a bunch of cool origami and craft tutorials here on YouTube and TikTok, so I hope you stick around.